I never thought my parents would choose a luxury boat trip over my daughter's life. The video call still haunts me. Lily alone, gasping for air, her lips turning blue. Between desperate breaths, she whispered that she accidentally ate something with peanuts, couldn't find her EpiPen, and that Grandma and Grandpa had taken my nieces and nephews on a surprise outing. They left her behind, knowing she was sick. I was at a conference 3 hours away, watching my 10-year-old daughter struggle to breathe, completely helpless to save her. My parents, Harold and Judy Thompson, had always been the picture, perfect grandparents. They sent birthday cards with $20 bills tucked inside, hosted elaborate holiday gatherings, and bragged about their grandchildren to anyone who would listen. When they insisted on watching Lily while I attended my career-changing conference in Portland, I initially hesitated. Lily's severe peanut allergy required vigilant care, something I wasn't sure my parents fully understood, despite their good intentions. "Mom, I can just bring her with me," I told my mother over coffee 3 weeks before the conference. "The hotel has a childcare service for attendees." "Armida Jean Thompson," my mother said, using my full name like she did when I was a child. "I raised 3 children without a single hospital visit. I think I can handle one little girl for 3 days." "Lily's allergies aren't about parenting skills, Mom. They're medical. One mistake could be catastrophic." "You worry too much," she waved her hand dismissively. "All these allergies nowadays. We never had these problems when you were growing up." Despite my reservations, I relented. The conference represented a potential promotion I'd worked toward for years. As a single mother, I rarely asked my parents for help, and their enthusiasm seemed genuine. Besides, Lily loved spending time with her grandparents, especially in their sprawling house with the backyard swing set. I spent the week before the conference meticulously preparing. I labeled all safe foods in their pantry with green stickers. I purchased 3 extra EpiPens, placing them in clearly marked locations throughout their house, one in the kitchen, one in Lily's overnight bag, and one in the medicine cabinet. I printed comprehensive emergency protocols and attached them to their refrigerator with my favorite sunflower magnets. I even played emergency scenarios with them, making them demonstrate how to use the EpiPen on an orange and recite the steps to take if Lily had a reaction. "You see how the blue cap comes off first. Then you firmly press it against her outer thigh until you hear the click." I demonstrated again. 10 seconds. "Then call 911 immediately." Not after trying Benadryl, not after calling me, immediately. "We've got it, honey," my father said, his tone suggesting I was being excessive. "We're not senile yet." The night before my departure, my sister Bethany and her husband Jack unexpectedly dropped off their 3 children, Emma, age 12, Max, age 8, and Tyler, age 6. "Mom said she'd take all the grandkids for the weekend," Bethany explained hurriedly as her children rushed past me into our parents' house. "Didn't she tell you?" "No," I said, surprised. "She didn't mention that." "Well, surprise," Bethany laughed. "You know Mom loves having all the grandkids together. It'll be good for Lily to spend time with her cousins instead of being treated like she's made of glass." That comment stung, but I brushed it off. Bethany had always been dismissive of Lily's allergies. I reminded myself that more adults in the house might actually be helpful in an emergency situation. I spent an extra hour reviewing everything with my parents again, focusing particularly on cross-contamination risks with 5 children in the house. "I've packed all Lily's meals separately," I explained. "Please don't let her share food with the other kids." "You're going to be late getting on the road," my mother said, practically pushing me toward the door. "We'll be fine. Lily will be fine. Go focus on your big presentation." I kissed Lily goodbye, reminded her about her safe foods, and reluctantly left for Portland. The first day of the conference went beautifully. I networked with industry leaders, received encouraging feedback on my preliminary presentation, and even enjoyed a rare dinner out with colleagues. I called to check on Lily before bed, and everything seemed fine. She sounded happy, talking excitedly about playing board games with her cousins and watching a movie with Grandpa. The second day started equally well. My morning presentation on marketing analytics exceeded expectations. During our lunch break, I called home again, but no one answered. I texted my mother, who responded that they were having lunch and would call back soon. I pushed away the small flicker of worry and focused on the afternoon sessions. At 2:17 in the afternoon, my phone lit up with a video call from Lily. Assuming she wanted to share something fun about her day with her grandparents, I stepped out of the conference room to answer. The image that appeared on my screen will haunt me forever. Lily's face was swollen, her eyes puffy slits, her lips developing a bluish tinge. She was alone in my parents' kitchen, struggling to breathe. "Mom," she wheezed, each word clearly requiring tremendous effort. "I think. Peanut. Bread. Can't find. EpiPen." "Where are Grandma and Grandpa?" I asked, panic rising in my throat as I rushed toward the hotel exit. "Boat trip. Surprise for cousins," she managed. "Left me. Sick." My blood turned to ice. "They left you alone? When did they leave? Did they call an ambulance?" Lily shook her head weakly, said, "Attention. Seeking. Hid. My EpiPen." I ran to my car while keeping Lily on video, instructing her to unlock the front door and lie down. I called 911 on my hotel room phone before leaving, giving them my parents' address and explaining the situation. Then I called my best friend Melanie, who lived 15 minutes from my parents' house. "Mel, emergency. Lily is having a severe allergic reaction at my parents' house. She's alone. I've called an ambulance, but I'm 3 hours away. Please go now." I kept Lily on video as I drove, watching helplessly as her condition deteriorated. Her breathing became more labored, her sentences fragmenting into single gasped words. I talked continuously, trying to keep her conscious until help arrived. "Stay with me, baby. Help is coming. Melanie is on her way. The ambulance is coming. You're going to be okay." 23 agonizing minutes later, I heard Melanie's voice on the line. She had arrived before the ambulance and found Lily unconscious on the kitchen floor. Following my frantic directions, Melanie found the spare EpiPen. I kept hidden in a kitchen drawer, a backup my parents apparently hadn't found and removed. I heard the terrifying sound of the auto-injector click through the phone, then Melanie counting to 10. Moments later, sirens wailed in the background. I could barely see the road through my tears as paramedics took over Lily's care. "She's breathing better after the epinephrine," one paramedic told Melanie loud enough for me to hear. "But we need to get her to Memorial right away. This is a severe reaction. Minutes more, and she might not have made it." As the ambulance departed with Lily and Melanie, I maintained a white, knuckled grip on the steering wheel, pushing my car to its limits while still trying to drive safely. 3 hours stretched before me like an eternity. While waiting for updates on Lily's condition, my phone chimed with a text message. It was from my mother, a group photo showing her, my father, Bethany, Jack, and all 3 of their children smiling broadly on the deck of a gleaming yacht. The caption read, "Having the best day with the grandkids, perfect weather for sailing." No mention of Lily. No question about her condition. The timestamp showed they'd taken the photo 30 minutes after the ambulance had left with my critically ill daughter. They knew exactly what they'd done, and they'd gone sailing anyway. The 3-hour drive to Memorial Hospital became the longest journey of my life. I abandoned my presentation, mumbling hurried apologies to my bewildered supervisor. In the parking garage, I suffered a panic attack so severe I couldn't find my car for 20 minutes. When I finally pulled onto the highway, my hands shook so violently I had to pull over twice to regain control. Through it all, one question echoed in my mind. Why? Why would my parents leave a sick child alone? Why would they prioritize a yacht trip over Lily's life? I'd trusted them with the most precious person in my world, and they'd betrayed that trust in the most fundamental way possible. Every few minutes, my phone would chime with updates from Melanie at the hospital. "They've got her on oxygen and steroids. Her blood pressure is stabilizing. The doctor says her airways are opening up." Each message allowed me to breathe for a moment before anxiety claimed me again. Between Melanie's updates, another kind of message kept arriving, photos from my mother showcasing their luxury day trip. One showed Emma, Max, and Tyler eating elaborate desserts at an upscale waterfront restaurant. Another captured my father posing with the yacht captain. A third featured Bethany and Mom shopping at a boutique, holding bags from expensive stores. Not once did they mention Lily or ask about her condition. 2 hours into my drive, the hospital called. The emergency room doctor's voice was measured but serious. "Miss Thompson, I'm Dr. Winters. Your daughter is stabilizing, but I want to be clear about the severity of what happened today. Lily experienced anaphylactic shock. Without the epinephrine and immediate medical attention, the outcome would have been tragic. We're still monitoring her closely, but she's responding well to treatment." "When can I see her?" I asked, my voice cracking. "She'll be in the pediatric ICU when you arrive. We plan to keep her overnight for observation." "Thank you, doctor. Please tell her I'm coming as fast as I can." "There's something else you should know," Dr. Winters added. "Your daughter was extremely dehydrated when she arrived. This suggests her reaction began some time before emergency services were called. She's been asking repeatedly if she's in trouble. Something about making up symptoms for attention." The implication hit me like a physical blow. Not only had my parents abandoned Lily during a life-threatening emergency, but they'd accused her of faking symptoms before leaving her to die alone. I finally reached Memorial Hospital just after 6 in the evening. The pediatric ICU was quiet except for the steady beeping of monitors. Melanie met me in the waiting area, her face drawn with concern. She pulled me into a tight hug. "She's doing much better," Melanie assured me. "They've moved her from critical to stable. She's been asking for you." "Thank you," I whispered. "You saved her life." "Armida, there's something you need to know," Melanie said, leading me to a quiet corner. "When I got to your parents' house, Lily was barely conscious, but she managed to tell me something disturbing. She said when her reaction started, your parents seemed annoyed, not concerned. She said your father told her to stop being dramatic, and your mother accused her of trying to ruin everyone's fun with another one of her episodes." My stomach clenched. "What?" "It gets worse," Melanie continued, pulling a crumpled note from her pocket. "I found this on the kitchen counter." The hastily written note in my mother's familiar handwriting read, "Lily, we've gone on the boat trip as planned. There's water in the fridge. We didn't want to ruin everyone's fun over another one of your episodes. Be good. We'll check on you tonight, Grandma." They knew. They knew she was having a reaction, and they left anyway. They dismissed a life-threatening medical emergency as an episode and prioritized a boat trip. The magnitude of their betrayal left me breathless. When I finally entered Lily's room, the sight of her small body connected to monitors and IVs broke something inside me. Despite the swelling and paleness, her face lit up when she saw me. I rushed to her bedside, carefully gathering her into a gentle hug. "I'm sorry, Mom," were her first words to me. "Sorry? Baby, you have absolutely nothing to be sorry for. Nothing." "Grandma said I was being attention-seeking again," Lily whispered. "She said, you baby me too much, and I need to stop making a big deal about every little thing." "Lily, listen to me," I said, holding her gaze. "You have a severe medical condition. It is real. It is serious. And you did exactly the right thing calling me when you felt sick. You are brave and smart, and I am so proud of you." Tears filled her eyes. "Grandpa got mad when I asked for my EpiPen. He said I was ruining their plans and being selfish." Each word was a knife to my heart. Before I could respond, a nurse entered the room. She checked Lily's vitals, adjusted her IV, and then asked if she could speak with me privately in the hallway. "Miss Thompson," the nurse said once we were outside, her voice low but firm. "I'm Nurse Sandra. I need you to understand that what happened to your daughter constitutes criminal child endangerment and medical neglect." "I know," I replied, my voice hollow. "As a mandated reporter, I've already contacted Child Protective Services. They'll want to speak with you and Lily." I nodded numbly. "There's something else," Nurse Sandra continued, looking troubled. "A man identifying himself as Lily's grandfather arrived about an hour before you did. He attempted to remove Lily from the hospital against medical advice, claiming it was just a misunderstanding that had been blown out of proportion." "What?" I gasped. "My father tried to take her?" "Hospital security intervened," she assured me. We have protocols for these situations. But you should know there's security footage of the incident if you need it for the CPS investigation. Nurse Sandra showed me to a small security office where a guard played the footage. There was my father, Harold Thompson, respected community member and church elder, arguing with hospital staff, attempting to minimize a life-threatening incident, and trying to remove a critically ill child to cover his tracks. I returned to Lily's room with my mind made up. This wasn't a misunderstanding or a momentary lapse in judgment. This was a deliberate choice that nearly cost my daughter her life. And there would be consequences. I stayed by Lily's bedside all night, watching her breathe, adjusting her blankets, and quietly seething. By morning, her condition had improved enough that doctors were discussing discharge plans. I hadn't heard a word from my parents or sister since the yacht photo. No calls checking on Lily's condition. No texts expressing concern or remorse. Nothing. Around 11 in the morning, my phone finally rang. It was my mother. "We're heading back to the house now," she said brightly, as if nothing had happened. "Will you be bringing Lily back here or picking her up from the hospital directly?" The casual tone, the complete disregard for the severity of what had transpired, left me momentarily speechless. "Armida, are you there?" "Lily almost died, Mom," I finally managed, my voice barely controlled. "Oh, don't be so dramatic," she scoffed. "You always overreact about these allergy things. She probably just had a little reaction, and you turned it into a crisis. She was in anaphylactic shock. The doctors said she was minutes from death when the ambulance arrived." "Well, she seemed fine when we left," my mother insisted. "A little flushed maybe, but nothing serious." I ended the call without another word. 2 hours later, after Lily had been discharged with prescriptions for steroids and strict follow-up instructions, we arrived at my parents' house to collect our belongings. The scene that greeted us was surreal. My parents, sister, brother, in-law, and their 3 children were unloading shopping bags from 2 cars, laughing and chatting as if returning from a carefree vacation. My father was the first to spot us. "There they are," he called out cheerfully. "The Wanderers return. You gave us quite a scare, young lady." I guided Lily, still weak and pale, past them without a word, and straight to the guest room to pack her things. I could hear my mother following us, her voice carrying that special tone of injured innocence she'd perfected over the years. "Well, I see someone's in a mood," she announced from the doorway as I helped Lily gather her belongings. "I suppose we're getting the silent treatment now?" I turned to face her, conscious of Lily watching our exchange. "Lily, honey, can you check the bathroom for your toothbrush? I need to talk to Grandma." Once Lily was out of earshot, I spoke in a low, controlled voice. "You left my 10-year-old daughter alone during a severe allergic reaction. You didn't call an ambulance. You didn't call me. You went on a luxury day trip and left her to die." "She was being dramatic," my mother insisted, rolling her eyes. "You've taught her to get attention that way. The emergency room doctor said she was minutes from death. Those doctors always say that. They're covering themselves legally." My father appeared in the doorway, his face arranged in an expression of paternal disappointment. "Armida, this whole situation has been blown completely out of proportion. We made a judgment call. Lily seemed fine, just a bit pink in the cheeks. We had this trip planned for weeks, and 4 other children were counting on it." "Planned for weeks?" I repeated, the pieces suddenly falling into place. "This wasn't a spontaneous trip?" An uncomfortable silence fell. My mother and father exchanged a glance. "Well, no," my father admitted. "Jack chartered the yacht last month as a surprise for the kids." "And you knew about this when you offered to watch Lily?" Another telling silence. "You knew I had a conference. You knew Lily had severe allergies. You knew about this trip, and you chose to offer to watch her anyway, knowing you planned to abandon her?" "We didn't abandon her," my mother protested. "We left her here safely. We deserved a day of fun without having to deal with special needs and restrictions. It's exhausting always catering to one child's issues." "Her issues? You mean her life-threatening medical condition?" "Oh, please," my father interjected. "These allergies are mostly in the mind. When we were growing up, nobody had all these mysterious conditions. My sister Bethany appeared behind my father, her face flushed with either sun or alcohol from their outing. What's with the interrogation? So we went on a boat trip. Big deal. Lily's fine, isn't she? No thanks to any of you, I replied coldly. Did you know they planned to leave Lily behind when you dropped off your kids? Bethany's expression flickered, confirming my suspicion before she could deny it. You knew. You all planned this. Look, Bethany said defensively. Mom and Dad had this special day planned for Emma, Max, and Tyler for weeks. When you asked them to watch Lily the same weekend, we figured we'd work around it. We didn't know she'd have one of her episodes that day. Her episodes, I repeated, the phrase striking me anew. You all talk about her medical emergencies like they're tantrums. An uncomfortable silence fell over the room. My father cleared his throat. Armida, you've always been overprotective with Lily. Ever since the divorce, you've used her supposed condition to control everything and everyone around you. We thought maybe if you weren't around, we could show Lily she doesn't need to be so fearful all the time. Supposed condition? The words felt like a slap. Are you suggesting I've made up Lily's peanut allergy? That multiple doctors, emergency room visits, and documented anaphylaxis are all what? A conspiracy? Not a conspiracy, my mother jumped in. But children pick up on their parents' anxieties. You're so afraid of food that you've transferred that fear to Lily. I stared at them. These people who had raised me, who I'd trusted with my child's life, and saw strangers. What else had they been saying to Lily behind my back? What other ways had they undermined her health and safety? Just then, my phone rang. Bethany startled visibly when I pulled it from my pocket. Hello? I answered, not recognizing the number. Miss Thompson? This is Alice Dawson from Child Protective Services. I'm following up on the report filed by Memorial Hospital regarding your daughter Lily. I'd like to schedule an interview with you as soon as possible. Of course, I replied, maintaining eye contact with my increasingly uncomfortable-looking family members. I can come to your office tomorrow morning. As I ended the call, Bethany's phone chimed with a message. She glanced at it, her eyes widening slightly before she forced a casual expression. I should check on the kids, she said hurriedly, turning to leave. Bethany, I called after her. Put the phone on speaker. What? No, it's just Jack asking about dinner. Put it on speaker, or I'll tell the CPS investigator about your role in abandoning a child with a life-threatening medical condition. Reluctantly, Bethany placed her phone on the dresser and tapped the speaker icon. She played the voicemail that had just arrived. Hey, it's me, Jack's voice emerged from the phone. Did you guys get rid of the evidence before Armida showed up? We need to get our story straight before anyone talks to CPS. Remember, we all stick to the same line. Lily seemed completely fine when we left, no signs of any reaction. And don't mention the tolerance thing we've been doing. Call me back as soon as possible. The message ended, leaving a stunned silence. My blood ran cold. Tolerance thing? I asked, my voice barely above a whisper. What tolerance thing? Bethany's face had drained of color. She looked to our parents for help, but they seemed equally shocked by Jack's careless message. It's not what it sounds like, my mother finally said. What is it then? Because it sounds like you've been exposing my severely allergic daughter to allergens without my knowledge or consent. It's for her own good, my father broke in. All these allergies kids have nowadays are because they're too sheltered. When we were growing up, we built natural immunities by being exposed to things. Are you telling me, I said slowly, each word deliberate, that you've been feeding my daughter peanuts? Knowing she could die? Just tiny amounts, Bethany admitted, her voice small. Mixed into other foods so she wouldn't notice. Jack read online that gradual exposure can cure allergies. That's called oral immunotherapy, I said through clenched teeth. It's done in a hospital setting, under strict medical supervision, with emergency equipment and trained staff standing by. Not by amateurs in a kitchen, experimenting on a child without her mother's knowledge. We were being careful, my mother insisted. Careful? You left her alone during a reaction. You hid her EpiPen. You prioritized a boat trip over her life. These allergies are mostly psychological anyway, my father said dismissively. Half the time, Lily doesn't even react. Because half the time, you weren't giving her enough to trigger anaphylaxis, I shouted, finally losing my composure. Do you have any idea how dangerous what you've been doing is? Lily appeared in the doorway, her face pale. Mom? Is everything okay? I took a deep breath, forcing calm into my voice. Everything's fine, sweetie. We're just about ready to go. Are you fighting because of me? Lily asked in a small voice. No, honey, I said firmly, shooting a warning glance at my family. We're discussing grown-up things, nothing for you to worry about. As Lily retrieved her backpack, I turned back to my family. This conversation isn't over, but it will continue with law enforcement and child protective services present. We're leaving now, and none of you will contact Lily directly. Is that clear? No one spoke as we walked out the door. In the car, Lily looked back at the house where her cousins watched from the window, confusion on their young faces. Mom, Lily said softly as we pulled away. Grandma and Grandpa don't believe I'm really allergic. They told me you make it up because you're too controlling. The pain in her voice broke my heart all over again. Lily, I promise you I will never let them hurt you again. The days following our confrontation brought profound isolation. I took a 2-week leave of absence from work to care for Lily and deal with the initial CPS investigation. My phone buzzed constantly, with messages from extended family members who had heard only my parents' version of events, that I was having a mental health episode and making wild accusations about their care of Lily. Alice Dawson, our CPS caseworker, arrived at our apartment the morning after we left my parents' house. She was younger than I expected, with kind eyes that hardened when she reviewed the hospital records. I want to be transparent with you, Miss Thompson, she said after interviewing Lily and me separately. Based on the medical documentation, witness statements, and security footage from the hospital, I'm finding clear evidence of medical neglect. This will trigger a broader investigation. What happens next? I asked, exhausted from the sleepless nights spent watching Lily breathe. I'll be interviewing your parents, sister, and brother-in-law. I'll also speak with the medical professionals involved in Lily's care. During this process, I strongly recommend no unsupervised contact between Lily and your parents. There won't be any contact at all if I can help it, I assured her. The investigation uncovered years of deliberate dismissal of Lily's medical needs. My mother had been telling Lily since she was 7 that your mom just worries too much, and that a little peanut never hurt anyone. My father had been encouraging her to build character by not making a fuss when she felt symptoms starting. I recalled incidents over the years that suddenly made sense. Times when Lily had come home from weekends with my parents with unexplained hives or stomach complaints. Occasions when she'd seemed unusually reluctant to return to their house, unable to articulate why. The puzzle pieces of systematic gaslighting and medical neglect formed a disturbing picture. A week into the investigation, my brother Travis called. Unlike Bethany, Travis had built his life across the country in Seattle, maintaining limited contact with our parents due to conflicts over his husband Luke. I hadn't spoken to him in months. Armida, his voice was serious. I just got off the phone with Mom. She claims you're having some kind of breakdown and making up stories about them endangering Lily. What's really going on? I told him everything. The abandoned conference, the desperate drive, the hospital security footage, Jack's damning voicemail. Jesus, Travis whispered when I finished. That doesn't sound like Mom and Dad. Except it exactly sounds like them, doesn't it? The way they always know best, how anyone who disagrees is just being difficult. They left her to die, Travis. I believe you, he said firmly. And I think there's more. When I was home last Christmas, I accidentally saw some texts on Mom's phone when she asked me to look up a recipe. There were messages to Dad complaining about how inconvenient Lily's allergies are, how they make everything more complicated. That's disturbing, but hardly surprising at this point, I said. No, it was worse than that. She specifically mentioned plans to prove Armida wrong about the severity. I didn't think much of it then. You know how Mom can be dramatic. But now it seems like evidence of premeditation, I finished grimly. That evening, I had a long, painful conversation with Lily. We sat on her bed, surrounded by her stuffed animals, a security system of plush protection she'd arranged since returning from the hospital. Grandma and Grandpa told me I was being a burden, Lily admitted, picking at a loose thread on her unicorn's mane. They said my allergies ruin everyone's fun and that I should stop pretending to be sick for attention. They were wrong, Lily. Completely wrong. Grandpa said calling 911 cost thousands of dollars, and I would bankrupt our family if I ever did it. That's why I called you instead. My heart broke anew. Lily, listen to me. If you ever feel symptoms, you call 911 immediately. I don't care if it costs $1 million. Your life is priceless. Grandma said I was just like you, always needing to be the center of attention. I held my daughter close, feeling her small body shake with suppressed sobs. You are like me, in all the best ways. Smart, brave, and strong. But your allergies are real, and anyone who tells you otherwise is wrong. Our conversation was interrupted by a call from Dr. Westfield, Lily's pediatrician for the past 8 years. Her voice was uncharacteristically tense. Miss Thompson, I've been contacted by CPS regarding Lily's case. I need to discuss something concerning with you. Of course, what is it? I've been reviewing Lily's chart and discovered something troubling. On several occasions when your parents brought Lily in for routine check-ups, they specifically requested I remove her allergy information from her medical record. My grip on the phone tightened. They what? They claimed you were, and I quote, manufacturing medical issues for attention. I refused, of course, and noted their requests in Lily's file, but I never thought to mention it because the requests seemed so bizarre. When was this? The first request was 2 years ago. The most recent was just last month, when your father brought Lily in for her annual physical while you were at work. Ice formed in my stomach. Dr. Westfield, did you notice anything unusual during that visit? A pause. Now that you mention it, Lily seemed unusually quiet. When I asked about her emergency medication, your father said they were moving away from dependence on those things. I emphasized the importance of having epinephrine available, but what? I've been reviewing all of Lily's records, and I found something else. 3 months ago, you requested a replacement EpiPen, saying the one in your home emergency kit appeared damaged. Last month, you requested another replacement. The safety caps were broken, I recalled. I assumed Lily had accidentally damaged them. Miss Thompson, after reviewing the pattern and given recent events, I'm concerned someone may have been deliberately tampering with Lily's emergency medication. The room seemed to tilt. Are you saying my parents sabotaged Lily's EpiPens? I can't make that accusation officially, Dr. Westfield said carefully. But I've documented my concerns and shared them with the CPS investigator. I'm also filing a formal medical neglect report with additional details from Lily's records. After ending the call, I sat motionless on the edge of Lily's bed, watching her sleep. The depth of betrayal was staggering. This wasn't just negligence or dismissiveness. This was methodical, deliberate endangerment of a child by the people who should have protected her most fiercely after me. My phone chimed with a text from Alice Dawson. New developments. Need to meet tomorrow morning. My office, 9 a.m. I replied my agreement, then turned off my phone. Whatever new horror had been uncovered could wait until morning. Tonight, I needed to guard my daughter's sleep and find enough strength to face whatever came next. The CPS office smelled of industrial cleaner and coffee. Alice Dawson's small office was cluttered with files and children's drawings, testaments to both the bureaucracy and humanity of her work. She gestured for me to sit, her expression grave. We've been conducting interviews with all family members, she began without preamble. Your parents are claiming this is all a misunderstanding, stemming from your anxiety issues and overprotectiveness. That's their go to defense, I said wearily. Have they explained why they left a sick child alone to go boating? They insist Lily showed no signs of distress when they left. However, we've interviewed your niece Emma separately, with her parents present. What she told us contradicts their story significantly. Alice slid a transcript across the desk. Emma's statement described Lily beginning to develop hives during breakfast after eating toast that Grandma Judy had specifically prepared for her. When Lily mentioned feeling her throat tighten, Grandpa Harold had told her to stop being dramatic and that we have a big day planned that you're not going to ruin. According to Emma, when Lily asked for her EpiPen, Grandma had told her, "You don't need that. Your mother has you convinced you're sicker than you are." Then Harold had taken the EpiPen from the kitchen drawer and put it in his pocket before telling Lily to lie down while they took the other children out. Emma reported hearing her grandfather tell the other children to stop talking about Lily being sick and that her grandmother had said we deserve fun more than dealing with Lily's fake problems. "Emma feels terrible," Alice explained. "She wanted to stay with Lily, but her parents insisted she come along. She's 12 and didn't feel she could challenge the adults." "None of this was her fault," I said quickly. "She's just a child." "A child with a conscience," Alice noted. She called her father from the boat repeatedly, asking to go back and check on Lily. According to Emma, Jack told her to stop bothering him and enjoy the trip. The systematic cruelty took my breath away. "Have you interviewed my parents directly yet?" "Yesterday. They're sticking to their story that Lily showed no serious symptoms. When confronted with Emma's statement, they claimed she was exaggerating to avoid getting in trouble." Alice shuffled through her papers. "We've also received Dr. Westfield's comprehensive report documenting the pattern of your parents attempting to interfere with Lily's medical care. Combined with the hospital records and security footage of your father attempting to remove Lily before you arrived, we have substantial evidence of medical neglect." I nodded, unsurprised, but still pained by the confirmation. "There's one more thing," Alice added, her tone softening slightly. "When we interviewed your parents at their home, we conducted a standard inspection of the living environment. In the guest room where Lily was staying, we found this." She handed me a small pink notebook I recognized immediately, Lily's diary. I'd given it to her on her 9th birthday, encouraging her to write down her thoughts and feelings. We wouldn't normally take a child's personal item, but it was open to a page that caught our investigators' attention. "I think you should read it." I opened the diary with trembling hands. Lily's neat handwriting filled page after page with heartbreaking entries. "Grandma made me eat a cookie today that tasted funny. When I got sick after, she said I was imagining it. My stomach really hurt, but she said not to tell Mom or I wouldn't be allowed to come over anymore. Grandpa says Mom makes up my allergy because she likes attention from doctors. He says I'm not really sick, just weak-minded. I'm scared to eat anything here now. Grandpa had a camera today when I ate the special pancakes. He said he's documenting how I fake symptoms to show Mom's doctor. My lips got puffy, but he said that's just because I believe they will." I closed the diary, unable to read more. They were experimenting on her, recording her reactions. The diary contains multiple instances of what appears to be systematic medical neglect and psychological abuse, Alice confirmed. "We've included it in our report." As I left the CPS office, my phone pinged with an email notification from an address I didn't recognize. The subject line read simply, "Proof you need." The message contained a brief note. "I can't be involved directly, but you deserve to know the truth. Downloading this was wrong, but what they did to Lily was worse." Attached was a video file. Cautiously, I downloaded it to find security camera footage from my parents' home. The timestamp showed the morning Lily had her reaction. There, in high-definition color, was the scene Emma had described: Lily at the breakfast table, hives beginning to form on her neck, my father dismissing her concerns, my mother preparing the other children for their outing. As Lily's breathing became visibly labored, Harold examined her with cold calculation, then deliberately placed her EpiPen in his pocket. "This little drama has gone on long enough," his voice came clearly through the recording. "You're not ruining today's plans with another episode." "But she's having trouble breathing," Emma protested off camera. "She's fine," my mother insisted, hustling the other children toward the door. "This is just her way of trying to control everyone, just like her mother." As they prepared to leave, my father turned to Lily, who was now wheezing audibly. "Armida needs to learn. She can't control everyone with your supposed condition. You're staying here, and when we get back, you're going to be fine, and maybe we'll all finally learn a lesson about these imaginary allergies." The footage continued, showing my parents and the other adults leaving with the other children, the front door closing behind them, and Lily alone, struggling for breath in an empty house. I watched in horror as my 10-year-old daughter dragged herself to the kitchen phone, tried to call emergency services but couldn't speak clearly enough to communicate. then painfully made her way to find her tablet to call me instead. The video ended with Lily collapsing on the kitchen floor, where Melanie would find her 20 minutes later. At the bottom of the email was a postscript. There's more footage on their system going back months. They've been documenting their experiments with Lily's allergies. Password to their system is Harold1956. Someone should download it all before they delete it. I forwarded the email to Alice Dawson with shaking hands, then called her office. I've just received video evidence of what happened, I told her when she answered. And apparently there's more. Months of footage of them deliberately exposing Lily to allergens. Forward everything to me immediately, Alice instructed. Don't tell anyone else you have this yet. I'll contact law enforcement to secure the rest of the footage before it can be deleted. That night, I sat in our apartment living room, after Lily had gone to sleep, staring at the walls and trying to process the magnitude of betrayal. My parents hadn't just neglected Lily. They had actively, deliberately endangered her life to prove a point. They had systematically gaslit a child about her own body, undermined her trust in herself, and created a situation that could have ended in her death. And they had documented it all, leaving a trail of evidence that would now ensure they could never harm her again. Rather than confronting my parents with screaming and accusations, which would have given them the opportunity to paint me as unstable, I channeled my rage into methodical action. Emotional outbursts might have been temporarily satisfying, but would ultimately have played into their narrative about me. Instead, I built a case so solid they couldn't escape the consequences of their actions. I hired Patricia Alvarez, an attorney specializing in family law and child protection cases. Her office walls were lined with credentials and children's artwork, the perfect combination of professional capability and genuine compassion. Based on what you've shared and the evidence collected, Patricia said during our first meeting, we have grounds for multiple legal actions. I recommend we start with emergency restraining orders to legally enforce the separation between Lily and your parents while the criminal investigation proceeds. I nodded, feeling a strange calm. I want to be clear, I don't want revenge. I want protection for Lily and accountability so they understand the severity of what they've done. The video evidence alone is damning, Patricia noted, reviewing the footage I'd received. Combined with the medical records, hospital security footage, and CPS findings, we have an extraordinarily strong case. Over the next week, we implemented a comprehensive protection strategy. Patricia filed for and received temporary restraining orders, preventing my parents, Bethany, and Jack from contacting Lily, or me. Dr. Westfield submitted a detailed medical report documenting the pattern of interference with Lily's health care. The police secured the complete security footage from my parents' home before they could delete it, revealing months of deliberate exposure experiments. I also focused on creating a supportive environment for Lily's recovery. We began sessions with Dr. Andrea Coleman, a child psychologist specializing in medical trauma. I enrolled Lily in a support group for children with severe allergies. We established new safety protocols at home, school, and with trusted friends. The hardest part was explaining to Lily why she wouldn't be seeing her grandparents, aunt, uncle, or cousins for the foreseeable future. We sat in our living room's window seat, her favorite spot for serious conversations. Sometimes, I explained carefully, the people who are supposed to love and protect us make choices that aren't safe. When that happens, we need to create distance to stay healthy. Did I do something wrong? Lily asked in a small voice. Absolutely not, I said firmly. Your grandparents made wrong choices because they refused to understand how serious your allergies are. That's their failure, not yours. Will I ever see Emma, Max, and Tyler again? The question broke my heart. Her cousins were innocent in all this, yet they too would be affected by the necessary separation. I hope so, sweetheart. Right now, things need to settle, but someday, when they're older, they might reach out to you themselves. My brother Travis proved to be an unexpected source of strength. He flew in from Seattle with his husband Luke to spend a week with us, bringing a much-needed sense of family connection untainted by betrayal. I always knew Mom and Dad could be controlling and dismissive, Travis said, as we watched Lily and Luke baking allergy-safe cookies in my kitchen. But I never imagined they'd go this far. I think that's the hardest part to process, I admitted. Not just that they endangered Lily, but that it was deliberate and sustained. They documented their experiments like she was a lab rat, not their granddaughter. They've always needed to be right, Travis observed. More than they've needed to be kind or even reasonable. When we were kids, I thought that was just how parents were. It wasn't until I met Luke's family that I realized it wasn't normal. Travis showed me text messages he'd discovered on our mother's phone during his Christmas visit, detailed discussions about Lily's supposed allergies and plans to prove me wrong. The timestamps matched periods when Lily had come home from visits with unexplained symptoms. 2 weeks after beginning the legal process, I received a call from Detective Morgan at the county sheriff's office. "Miss Thompson, we've completed our review of the evidence in your case, including the full security footage from your parents' home. The district attorney has decided to file criminal charges against both your parents for child endangerment and medical neglect." A weight I hadn't realized I was carrying lifted from my shoulders. What happens next? They'll be formally charged later this week. Given the evidence, particularly the video showing them knowingly leaving your daughter in distress and their documented history of interfering with her medical care, the DA is confident in the case. I thanked the detective, then sat quietly in my kitchen, absorbing the news. This wasn't about revenge. This was about establishing a record of their actions that couldn't be denied or minimized. This was about justice for a child who deserved protection. That evening, I received an email notification for a newly created fundraising page. The title made my blood run cold. Legal Defense Fund for Harold and Judy Thompson, Victims of False Accusations. The page, created by my parents, contained a carefully crafted narrative, painting them as loving grandparents being persecuted by their mentally unstable daughter who suffered from Munchausen syndrome by proxy. They claimed I had manufactured Lily's allergies for attention and that they were being criminally charged for simply trying to show the truth. The page included carefully edited clips from their home security footage, showing Lily appearing fine at certain moments, with no context of what happened before or after. It featured manipulated medical documents with highlighted sections taken out of context. Worst of all, it included childhood photos of me, with captions suggesting I had always been troubled and attention-seeking. Several extended family members had already donated: aunts, uncles, and family friends I'd known all my life. The comments section was filled with messages of support for my parents and condemnation for me. "Stay strong against these ridiculous charges. We all know what Armida is really like. Praying the truth comes out about her mental health issues." My hands shook as I forwarded the page to Patricia. Her response was immediate and reassuring. "This is actually helpful to our case. They're publicly admitting to the core of what we're alleging, that they deliberately disregarded Lily's medical condition because they didn't believe it was real. I'll notify the DA immediately." Within hours, after Patricia presented the unedited security footage to the fundraising platform, the page was removed for containing misleading information and potential defamation. But the damage to my extended family relationships was already done. Decades of connections severed by my parents' desperate attempt to avoid accountability. That night, after Lily was asleep, I sat alone in my darkened living room, finally allowing myself to grieve. I grieved for the family I thought I had, for the relationships Lily had lost, for the innocence shattered by deliberate cruelty. I grieved for the parents I'd always hoped mine could be, rather than the people they had revealed themselves to be. Then I dried my tears, straightened my shoulders, and returned to planning our next steps. Lily deserved a mother who fought smart, not just hard. And I was determined to be that mother. 3 months after that terrifying video call with Lily, our lives had transformed completely. The legal proceedings moved with surprising efficiency, driven by the overwhelming evidence and the serious nature of the charges. My parents, faced with the unedited security footage showing them deliberately leaving Lily in medical distress, accepted a plea deal that included 2 years of probation, mandatory education on anaphylaxis, 200 hours of community service in allergy awareness programs, and legally enforced no contact orders protecting Lily until her 18th birthday. The judge made it clear that only their age and lack of prior criminal record had kept them from serving jail time. During the final hearing, my mother still couldn't resist attempting to justify their actions. "We were just trying to prove that Lily's condition isn't as serious as Armida claims," she told the judge. "We never meant for her to be in any real danger." The judge's response was scathing. "The video evidence shows you watching a child develop clear signs of anaphylaxis, deliberately hiding her emergency medication and leaving her alone in a life-threatening situation. Your actions were not misguided love. They were reckless endangerment of a child's life to prove a point. My sister Bethany and her husband Jack faced their own legal consequences. The investigation revealed their complicity in the tolerance-building experiments and their knowledge of the plan to leave Lily alone during the boat trip. They lost partial custody of their children temporarily, with mandatory parenting classes and supervision requirements put in place. The crowdfunding platform permanently removed my parents' defamatory page after Patricia presented the full evidence package. Several family friends who had initially believed my parents' version reached out with heartfelt apologies after learning the truth. My Aunt Carol, my mother's sister, called in tears. "I should have known better," she admitted. "I've seen how your mother twists narratives when she's wrong. I'm so sorry I didn't question their story." Travis and Luke became regular fixtures in our lives, flying in from Seattle monthly to spend weekends with us. They provided Lily with family connections untainted by the betrayal, showing her that family could be safe and supportive. Luke's parents, upon learning what had happened, adopted us into their extended family, sending care packages and including us in holiday video calls. The most profound transformation, however, was in Lily herself. The psychological impact of her grandparents' betrayal had initially manifested as nightmares, anxiety around food, and a hesitation to trust any adult authority figures. Dr. Coleman worked patiently with her, helping her process the trauma without internalizing it. "They were wrong about me, not because of me," became Lily's mantra in difficult moments. We found a support group specifically for children with severe allergies who had experienced medical gaslighting from family members. Hearing other children's similar experiences helped Lily understand she wasn't alone, while seeing older kids who had overcome such challenges gave her hope. Slowly, her natural resilience reasserted itself. 6 weeks after the incident, she asked to join a science club at school, her first voluntary step back into group activities. By the 3-month mark, her nightmares had decreased significantly, and she was proudly wearing her new medical alert bracelet rather than hiding it under long sleeves. My own healing journey paralleled Lily's. The betrayal by my parents cut deep, challenging my fundamental understanding of family and trust. I worked with my own therapist to process the complex grief of losing not just my current relationship with my parents, but also the idealized version I'd carried within me. "They showed you who they truly are," my therapist observed. "Now you get to decide what kind of relationship you want with that truth, not with the parents you wished you had." I channeled my anger and pain into constructive action, starting a support network for parents of children with severe allergies who face skepticism and medical gaslighting from family members. What began as a small online group quickly grew to hundreds of members sharing resources, validation, and practical advice. 3 months to the day after the incident, Lily and I sat in our favorite ice cream shop, celebrating her successful return to a full school schedule. She had just been elected class representative, a position she'd been too shy to pursue before. "Mom," she said thoughtfully, licking her allergy, safe chocolate cone. "I've been thinking about everything that happened." "What about it, sweetheart?" I asked, bracing for whatever difficult feelings might emerge. "I'm sad about Grandma and Grandpa, and everyone," she said. "But I also feel stronger now. Like I know I can trust myself about my body. And I know you'll always believe me." "Always," I confirmed. "Your body, your symptoms, your experience, they're all real and valid. And," she continued, her expression brightening, "I think maybe we can help other kids like me. Kids whose families don't believe them about their allergies." Her suggestion led to our creating Age, appropriate materials for the support network, with Lily contributing illustrations and ideas from her perspective. Her first-hand experience proved invaluable in creating resources that truly spoke to children's fears and needs. On quiet evenings, I sometimes reflect on the painful journey we've traveled. The mother I was before would have done anything to spare Lily this trauma. But the mother I am now recognizes that through this crucible, Lily has developed extraordinary strength, advocacy skills, and compassion for others. The most profound lesson I've learned is that protecting your child sometimes means standing against your own family when necessary. True love isn't about maintaining relationships at all costs. It's about ensuring safety, truth, and respect, even when that means drawing difficult boundaries. Lily and I have created new traditions with chosen family who cherish and protect her exactly as she is. We've built a community of support that validates, rather than questions her medical needs. Most importantly, we've strengthened our bond through the shared understanding that we will always choose each other's well-being over social expectations or family pressure. Every night before bed, Lily and I share 3 things we're grateful for. Tonight, she surprised me with her third item. "I'm grateful that I know how to protect myself now," she said thoughtfully, "and that I know who really loves me." As I tucked her in, I realized that while the path to this point had been unimaginably painful, the destination was a place of profound truth and authentic connection. Sometimes the most important family isn't the one you're born into, but the one you consciously create with love, respect, and unwavering support. Have you ever had to make the difficult choice between family loyalty and protecting someone vulnerable? I'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments below. If this story resonated with you, please like and subscribe to hear more stories of overcoming family betrayal and building stronger boundaries. And if you know someone who might need to hear this message, please share it with them. Your share might be the support they need during their own difficult family situation. Thank you for listening to my journey, and I wish you strength and clarity if you ever face similar difficult choices.